Hey, welcome to a math video. This is simply just for you who needs to learn how to write an equation to find the terms of a sequence. In other words, you're representing a sequence with an equation. So, grab some paper and get ready to take some notes. Here's an example of a problem that you might get. You have the sequence 4, 7, 10, and 13. And you might be asked to write the sequence as a table, add the next two terms. Next, after that, you'll be asked to write an equation for the rule, and then finally to predict a term. In this case, we want you to predict the 40th term. What do you think the 40th term will be? And you do not want to extend your table to the 40th term. You want to use your equation to find that. So let's get started. First thing you have to do is make a table. Feel free to pause this anytime if I'm going too fast. So the first thing when you're making your table, we always want to have the term number up here, and the variable we use for term number is always going to be n, and the term goes here. In this case, we want the term to be our t. Remember the term number, we just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Down here, we throw in our sequence. So the next part you need to do is complete the next two terms. So hopefully you've noticed that there's a pattern here going on. Looks like I'm adding 3. 4 plus 3 equals 7. 10 plus 3 equals 13. So I need to keep adding 3. So this term right here, you should have gotten 16. If we add 3 again, we get 19. So that's the first step. Next thing that's really important is knowing that your term number is really your input and your term is really your output. In elementary school, you were, that's what they called them. They called them input-output tables. Okay, so there's number 1. We did our table and then our two next terms. Number 2 is the equation. To do the equation, you really need to be focused on the rule going this way first. And you take that rule, plus 3, and you put it into your function machine down here. But remember, we never put plus 3. We're always going to change it to times 3. So that's the first thing that goes in there. Next, you need to check like 3 of your input outputs to see if it works. So let's start with number 1. Let's put 1 into our function machine. If I do that, I go 1 times 3 equals 3. And then I check, is that what I want my output to be, my term? Nope, it needs to be 4. So if it's 3, what do I do to 3 to get it to equal 4? So you should be thinking I need to add 1. So let's just see if that works for this pair. So here my input's 2. So if I put 2 in, 2 times 3 is 6. And if I add 1, does that equal 7? Yep. So we want to try it one more time. Let's try it with the 4 up here. If I put 4 into my function machine, I should get 13. 4 times 3 equals 12. 12 plus 1 equals 13. So again, you're always putting in the n, applying a rule, and out comes t. So now you have this great function machine to make an equation. So you can just think of it as this: n times 3 plus 1 equals t. Some people like to write it like this. It does not matter. Both ways are acceptable. So then the last part to this problem is, what in the world is the 40th term? A couple kids like to just throw 40 into our function machine here, and they go 4 times 3 plus 1. So 40 times 3 is 120 plus 1, out comes 121. Probably the best way, though, is to plug it into your equation. So you're going to substitute n for 40. So instead of n right here, you're going to have that be 40. And then you still need times 3 plus 1 equals, and again, that's 120 plus 1. 121 is my 40th term. Let's do another one, because they're so fun. How about this one? There's your sequence. Again, you're going to make a table, an equation, find the 40th term. Why don't you try to pause the video and do this by yourself and then come back and check to see if you did it right. So first step, my term number, my term. Plug in your sequence for the terms. And hopefully you see a pattern here. What are you doing to 7 to get 12? Plus 5. What are you doing to 12 to get 17? So hopefully you've seen the pattern, and you just keep going with that. 22 plus 5 is 27. 27 plus 5 is 32. Next step, make your equation. So you know it's plus 5, so in your function machine it needs to be times 5. And then plug a pair in and see what happens. Let's throw 1 into our function machine. 1 times 5 is 5, and that's not right. It needs to be 7. So I think, well, if it's 5 and I need to be 7, 5 plus what equals 7? That's where I get 2. And then I'm going to try it again with another one. Try it with 2. 2 times 5 equals 10. 10 plus 2 equals 12. Perfect. Try it one more time with a 4. 4 times 5 is 20. 20 plus 2, 22. And that's right. So again, this is my input. Out comes t. So n times 5 plus 2 equals t. You can even write it like this. N times 5 or 5 times n, same thing. That's your equation. 40th term, plug in 40 for my n. So you're going to substitute n for 40. 40 times 5 plus 2. This equals 200. Add the 2, and your final answer should be 202. I have 2 more examples for you to do, and I want you to try and do them by yourself first, and then you're going to check in. So there's your sequence. I want you to make a table, make an equation, and this time let's predict the 33rd term. Predict what that is. Pause the video, try it. Okay, hopefully you're back and you're checking your answers. Let's see, my rule looks like plus 6. So 24 plus 6, 30 plus 6. So since it's plus 6 each time, my function machine is times 6. Go back, plug in a number. Let's try 1. 1 times 6 is 6. And that's exactly right. Next is 2. 2 times 6. 2 times 6 equals 12. And again, that's exactly what we want. Let's try 5. 5 times 6 is 30. So right away, this is a simpler equation. There's only one step to it. So the 33rd term, 33 times 6. I'm cheating and using a calculator right now. I got 198. So that should be the 33rd term. Okay, I have one more for you to try. That guy right there. So there's my sequence, 4, 12, 20, 28. Pause the video, try it yourself. This time let's predict the, let's do the 39th term. Oh boy, sorry. Predict the 39th term. Okay. Okay, hopefully you're checking your answers right now. I notice the pattern is adding 8 each time. 28 plus 8 is 36. 36 plus 8 is 44. So if it's plus 8 each time, and here it's times 8, now you plug in numbers. Plug in 1, see what happens. 1 times 8 is 8. Oh boy, I need it to be 4. So 8, what do I do to 8 to make it 4? Hopefully you came up with minus 4. And then you try it again. Plug in 2. It should be 12. 2 times 8 is 16. 16 minus 4 is 12. That works. I'm going to try it with 5. 5 times 8 is 40. 40 minus 4 is 36. And that works. So my equation is n times 8 minus 4 equals t. And again, another way to write it could be like that. The 39th term. Okay, hopefully you substituted 39 in for n. And we multiply first, so 39 times 8 minus 4. I just got 308. Check your answers over. All right, peace.